In my mind, there's one choice for roofing around here, and I'd go with your best choice. Whether it's time to replace your roof or repair it, Best Choice Roofing provides top-notch roofing services tailored to meet the unique needs of Detroit homes and businesses. They serve the region and inside the city of Detroit, too. You can find out more at bestchoiceroofing.com/Detroit. That's bestchoiceroofing.com/Detroit, or call 313-474-7031. That's 313-474-7031. Hello, friends, and welcome to your Daily Detroit, sharing what to know and where to go every day in your podcast apps. I am Jer Stays, coming to you from east of Woodward, and from west of Woodward, none other than my old friend Devon O'Reilly. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Jared. Just camped out here west of Woodward along the banks of the Rouge River once again.
I have this image of you in like a camper or a tiny house and maybe some sort of like solar panel with internet. But also, while you're sitting there lounging, you're also got Cole Haan shoes on.
Yeah, well, you got the Cole Haan shoes part right, but my environs are just a bit more grand. As I'll tease again, and one day soon I'm going to have you out here and you can enjoy the full spectacle. But it is far from a camper van.
Well, we've got some breaking news to talk about, some stories around town. But first, although it's been a very week, we've both been able to get out to some new places. Let's talk about where we've been. Devon O'Reilly, why don't you start this time?
Yeah, I appreciate you deferring, Jer. The about towning is my lifeblood. And so anytime I get a chance to check out a new place, I'm going to try and take it. And for those of you who listen or may not know, I still get out to Detroit, downtown areas like that 2 to 3 times a week. So, Detroit has not become foreign to me in any respect. So I was downtown this week and had the opportunity to check out a place that I had heard some rumblings had opened, and that is Bastille Bar, right there on Washington Boulevard, right kind of across from Parlay, across the street from like the Book Tower, La Supreme. It's just a little kind of cozy corner bar. And I popped in and it was delightful. So I have to say, Bastille Bar is from the same people who brought you some of our favorite spots in Detroit. So from the people who brought you Bronx Bar, Queens Bar, Cliff Bells, that's the same, that's the same person. So this definitely has that intentional dive bar vibe, super kind of retro-y, a lot of wood, dark, but just fun, like no nonsense. The food is basically bags of chips and popcorn. The drinks are inexpensive for downtown prices. There's a pinball machine and a pool table, and they play really good music. And it's just a chill, stop in, check it out, have a drink, meet up your friends for a beer or a non-alcoholic, which they have as well. So I really enjoyed Bastille. It's just, again, it's super straightforward. It's open, I think, 4 to midnight every day. And then on the weekends, they stay open a little bit later on Friday and Saturday. So Bastille Bar, go check it out, wander on through. I really enjoyed it, Jared. And I think it's the type of place you would enjoy too.
What would you recommend when you stop into Bastille for the first time?
Well, they've got a really good list. Like what they're going to give you when you walk in is a list of domestic beers, foreign beers. They've got a pretty good list of different like Belgian beers, lagers, ales, things in that nature. So kind of a light, crisp beer, which is a good for this time of year. But also they don't have a cocktail list, but the bartenders are super friendly and, they have everything you need to make whatever cocktail you want, and they're pretty knowledgeable. So it's one of those, like, if you want liquor to drink, just tell them what you want and they can whip you up a cocktail.
What is that song I'm thinking about? It's a whiskey drink. It's a vodka drink. Was it Chumbawamba?
A lager drink?
A lager drink.
Something. Whiskey drink, a vodka drink, a lager drink, a cider drink. Jer, you touched on something I want to point out. I have done that before. It's called a tub thumping. You have to drink those all at the same place in succession.
Not at the same time.
I've done this at 3rd Street Bar. Me and my friends, I want to see if any listeners have ever actually done this before. Me and my friends think that we invented tub thumping about 10 years ago at 3rd Street Bar, where we had to drink those 4 drinks in succession. And we all did it. And we probably stumbled out.
I wonder if somebody from the UK is going to have a word with you.
I like it. I look. Hey, if someone else thinks they invented tub thumping as a ritual, I'd like to hear about it. But I think I did. And you know what? You could do it here at Bastille. Let's bring this back full circle. You could do it at Bastille because they have all those things. How about you, Jer? I think you were out a little bit in the suburbs.
Yeah, I mean, the nearby suburbs. I mean, one could think that I was out with my divining stick or something, but no, I was at a place that was not paranormal, but it is called Little Ghost, which is the fast casual outpost of Grey Ghost in downtown Detroit. This fast casual concept is in Ferndale, north of 8 Mile, right there at Woodward and Pearson. Had a chance to get out. This is the opening week for it. And I have seen so much buzz around it. I've seen so many friends excited about it. I was like, I have to go. And let me tell you, it was worth it. I mean, it's definitely like out of the beaten path for me to shoot up to Ferndale at lunch, but Woodward's a quick shot. And I went at a non-rush time, but there was still like a busy line out there because there is just so much excitement for this place. They've done a wonderful job remodeling it. It was a very ho-hum kind of insurance agency, I think. Now it's bright purple. It looks like a concept that is going to take off. This is the kind of concept, the branding, like the bags were branded. All the tile was like grouted with like pink purple. It was, the graphics were great. They had a muralist doing Little Ghost branded art. I look at this and my whole experience, and then I went and did some research on it. This might be the next big concept out of Detroit, Devon.
Yeah, the Grey Ghost team is fantastic. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, because I want to know a little bit more about it. This sounds really cool. The impetus was kind of the fact that everyone knew the Grey Ghost burger was like the thing. Like some people just went to Grey Ghost for the burger just because it was amazing. And I remember back when I lived downtown that they would do like late night happy hour with the burger and a beer, which I thought was fantastic. I can't remember. It was cheap. It was like $10 back in those days. And you could get a burger and a Grey Ghost burger and a High Life. So I think they've been building on that. So this Little Ghost outpost sounds great to kind of like pick up on the fact that they have this kind of fast casual. Grey Ghost, you can go get a steak dinner, you can go get a seafood dinner, this amazing kind of plated experience, or you can just get a burger. So it seems like they're leaning into that. My question, Jared, is it just like burger and fries, or how extensive is the menu?
Burgers, fries, Nashville chicken sandwiches, tenders, creative kind of high-end hot dog, donuts. So like a wide variety of very fast, casual, quick things. I personally tried with Luciano, who works behind the scenes here, the burger, the Nashville chicken, and the fries, and with the fancy sauce. And let me tell you, very good. Like they nailed it out of the park with this concept where it's the right mix of easy to go to, easy to grab, but also the burger. Man, it gave me that same Grey Ghost vibe because I'm like you. I've gone up there just for the burger alone. And this might be a big thing. I haven't seen this much buzz around a place in a long time.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to do really, really well. It is, again, I think you're right, Jared. They kind of hit the nail on the head in terms of the location, the concept. Sounds like it's crowded already. People love a quick, fast lunch, and we already know they do a great job with their burgers. I don't think I've had a chicken sandwich there or chicken tenders or anything like that. So that'll be interesting to check out. And yeah, you're right. It's pretty quick from downtown, or even if you're in Royal Oak, it's pretty quick to go south that way on Woodward. So I think they'll have a good amount of traffic. I am excited. I'll sometimes venture out to certain suburbs to check things out. I think this is one of those where I'm going to have to go get myself a burger.
You know what I love is that they put a lot of care into the space. So often I'll see like a pop-up concept or something happen and it'll just be kind of schlocky, or it's like you can tell that they cut corners. With this, They were like, okay, we're going to have a smaller space, but we're going to make it really good. We're going to make it feel like something that we've thought about. And I think that really matters to customers. Even if you're doing what is mostly a grab-and-go spot, it's got a few places to sit along the window. Even when you're doing something like that, it just sticks in people's minds so much better.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think they're going to do really well, and I'm interested to hear. Well, check it out for myself, and interested to hear how other listeners like it. Because hey, if this works, this seems like it's one of those things that they could quickly and easily expand to. You could see a Little Ghost outpost in your neighborhood sometime soon.
Well, and one thing that we were talking a little bit about off air, and something we can, I think, get into, is it's interesting to see the brick and mortar places get some inspiration from food trucks, where it's like this could have easily been a food truck, but I think as a brick and mortar, it just has a lot more presence. I'm just kind of curious what you think about that.
Yeah, I think I'm noticing this kind of a macro trend a little bit. And, I think there's a thread to pull here, but the gist of it is I think that there's a shift happening back towards maybe the brick and mortar, either the fast casual or the sit down. Now, look, I don't discriminate. I'll grab lunch from anywhere that's convenient, anywhere that's good. And I've gotten a lot of food truck lunches recently. And I noticed that, the prices aren't that inexpensive. And I thought way back when we were doing the whole food truck thing, that part of the allure of food trucks was, they could give you a cheap but good meal. And I kind of tested the theory a little bit. And in my lunching, I've had some food trucks, and I've actually sat down. I've gone into restaurants, sat down, and just had a meal, a lunch by myself. And I've noticed that actually, on average, the lunches that I've had sitting down in brick and mortar restaurants ended up being cheaper, even with the tip. Ended up being cheaper than what I paid at a food truck. And I just thought that was really interesting. And I kind of wonder where we go from here. If, food trucks might have maxed out on how much they can charge. I feel like they've got more expensive. And I feel like there's a little bit more of an allure to kind of the fast casual restaurant experience. So I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think of a spot that has straddled this for a while, and that's Detroit 75 down in Detroit.
Yes.
And then they now have a brick and mortar spot that they're rolling out in Madison Heights. I forget exactly what the process is, but they do have service going on out there on Madison Heights on Stevenson Highway near 14 Mile. And that is some place where you go up to it and it looks like a food truck. But in reality, because it's basically parked there all the time, it's kind of like a quick grab and go spot. And they've straddled that line really well. And they have a really good product if you're into those kind of sandwiches. Also, killer social media presence, by the way, killer branding.
Yeah, they do a really good job.
I think that they were anticipating this change a little bit ahead and kind of, because there is an excitement, about the food truck. One of the reasons I like the idea of food truck rallies and food truck parks is I like the idea of being able to sample something new, or if I'm somewhere where it just doesn't make sense to have like a full-time thing. I love that variety. I love that energy. Oh, I'm going to try this thing or try that thing. I'm into that. But cost-wise, I totally hear what you're saying.
Yeah, and I think that, the food trucks do have their limitations too. It's like there's limited kitchen space. There's probably limited stuff you can do with it. I'm someone though, Jer, who I like just sitting down and eating a meal. I'm not a huge takeout person I never would eat in my car. That just has no appeal to me. So I'm probably a little biased in this regard where I like to sit down and eat. It's just a matter of kind of, wow, okay, I can go get a salad or a sandwich and sit down at a restaurant, pay $16 for my meal, tip $5 and be out the door around, $22. And then I went to a food truck and it was like, I got similar things, sandwich, fries, water, and it was like $25-$26. And I just thought, wow, what are we doing here with the food trucks? Because, I get it. Hey, look, I'm not here to disrespect the food trucks, but isn't part of the reason is they have a much, much lower overhead than a brick and mortar, so the prices should be lower? I don't know. That's just my random musings and what I've seen out there, but maybe there's something more to it that I'm missing.
Well, that's one way we are very different, as I've spent much of my career eating in the car. I'm very particular of what I will eat in the car, though. You got to pick the right items. Otherwise, it can be a disaster because I love road trips. I worked in TV news for a while, which means you're just in a vehicle, period. I've worked, working on sports broadcast, just a number of things where it's like, well, I either eat in the car or I don't eat today. And so I have to be very picky because you don't want to have messy things in the car, even on the road trip. You got to, it's important whoever you're going with has a very important role as co-pilot, but also food prepper. There's a lot of things in this that I could have a whole thing on, but since you're not into eating in the car, I will save you.
No, Jerry, no, but I'm the exact opposite. And that's what's fun about this is I'm the person who I think I've mentioned on the show, big fan of the power lunch. And there was an article recently, I think in the Atlantic or the Economist, that talked about kind of, what's happened to the grand power lunch. It was based in New York where power lunches kind of started. But I'm more of, hey, let's take time. Let's just sit, enjoy our lunch. Maybe we have an adult beverage. Maybe we don't worry about getting back to the office that particular day. So I'm more of a sip, savor, and enjoy your lunch. And some people are more just quick on the go, get it done. And that's okay.
We have some breaking news to talk about, Devin. I'm going to mess up our rundown.
Okay, well, if it's breaking news, I love covering breaking news because I'll have some hot takes that I haven't even thought of yet.
So this is an update to the Detroit City FC stadium proposal. Of course, people will know that we had Sean Mann, one of the co-owners and kind of the operating partner of Detroit City FC, on the show recently. Crane's Detroit Business in the inbox says that the Detroit City FC men's and women's soccer stadium will go through the community benefits ordinance process. That's in part because it will be a $150 million deal and includes 76 units of affordable housing wrapped around a 421 space parking deck plus 8,500 square feet of retail space. The organization says that they're not going to be aiming for too many incentives beyond brownfield redevelopment, things like that, which is kind of laudable in this economy and how people usually build these things. So what do you think? I think we're on the eve of getting some new renderings and things. And kudos to Crane's Detroit Business. I'll put a link in the show notes to breaking this additional news on top of what we had already reported a couple of weeks ago.
It's exciting for me because I think you as well, and I hope listeners, because too often we're used to seeing projects that start off really grand and then get slowly scaled down and down and down and down. This seems like it's going the opposite direction, where the original price tag was, I don't know, somewhere north of 75, closer to 90 million. Now we're up at $150 million, but it sounds like we're adding retail space, we're adding residential. Like this is getting much, much bigger. And I love it. I mean, of course, as a fan of development, I love seeing this happen. I think it'll be really cool to add to what is already that vibrant Corktown area, but you're kind of on the edge of Corktown. So I think it'll be a nice way to kind of connect. You don't have a lot of people living right in that area. So it'll be nice to have the consistency of people living right near the stadium and walking kind of to and from and having, that connect to the neighborhood. Now, I mean, with the community benefits agreement, that can get a little prickly. That can get tied up in some issues, some discussions. It'll be interesting though, Jer, because of where it is. Who's at the table for that community benefits agreement? Because again, that's kind of a light industrial area. You have to go a little ways before you start to hit like homes and residential units. And so I'm interested as far as the makeup of what that kind of community benefits group will be. And I hope they'll be open to to the incentives, because they need that. That's a really rough site. That was a hospital. There is tons of remediation. There is tons of cleanup that'll need to be done. And so it's an expensive site to develop. And I hope people understand that. If you're against incentives, those we talk about all the time, Jer, if not for this, what can you do with a site like that? It needs to be cleaned up heavily. And you can rely on local governments and tax credits and things like that to help assuage that. So I think it's great. I'm happy to hear it's getting bigger and even grander.
Yeah, and I wonder if the 76 affordable units are the bulk of it, or if there's going to be other market rate stuff with it. I mean, you're literally going to have a true spark there in that corner that when I think about it, okay, when you think about Comerica Park, now I know that the Illiches did the Eddystone and stuff like that, but the idea that they are doing housing right with the stadium development, honestly, that's better than the Illiches did, and they don't have Illich money.
Heck yeah. I mean, combining residential with stadiums makes too much sense. I think some of the newer stadiums that are being built have an eye to that. We just don't here in Detroit, and we should have, especially with LCA, we should have. But I'm glad when I can see that happen, because you're just creating more density. And what do we love, Jer? We love density, right?
Oh yeah, density in places where it makes sense. We got a lot of feedback on some recent episodes talking about density. People worried that we're like advocating to change their area. But I'll be honest, like if you're in Livonia, you're cool. Like do your thing. Like, Livonia recently voted down a downtown program. You don't move to Livonia for your downtown, right? Like I'm not saying that everywhere has to be the same, but I am saying in targeted areas, here in the city, especially in greater downtown, and I think in targeted areas across the city of Detroit, I think it makes a lot of sense. And I think it's honestly the only way forward, because when we're talking about the city of Detroit specifically, the city cannot out-suburb the suburbs. We're never going to be able to make the cost low enough. The cost of development for single family, although I think it's an important part of the mix, we need to make sure, there's duplexes, quadruplexes, sixplexes, apartment blocks. We have to do something different and offer something different. Because if you just want the suburbs, man, look, the Points, Rochester, Troy, Canton, Livonia, Dearborn, they all offer it in spades, and trying to offer what they offer too is not going to be a winning plan for the city if we want to actually turn stuff around.
No, and yeah, don't worry if you're living in the suburbs. No one's going to try and Detroit your Livonia. Livonia definitely made it loud and clear in this last election here that they do not want a downtown. They do not want abundance, and that's okay for them if that's what the residents want. So, that's what you want, you can go there. I can say for my part that even in Dearborn, we're talking about development and going higher and thinking about our commercial corridor along Michigan Avenue in West Dearborn that is seeing tremendous amount of business investment from both small business owners and big ones like Ford Motor Company. And we're actually looking at looking at some of the streets adjacent just off of Michigan Avenue and actually going up higher, multiple levels, 2, 3, 4 stories, and exploring zoning options and things like that. So even in a suburb like Dearborn, we have an eye towards building out and building up in our downtown core, which I love to see.
Is that something that you're seeing because of the demand?
We're seeing the demand for more people wanting to live here. We're seeing more young people, young professionals moving here because of the jobs, obviously, that Ford Motor Company in general creates. I mean, they're clearly the biggest employer, but there's also some education, medical jobs that come here, and people want that kind of, what do we call it, quasi suburban city lifestyle where they can live in an apartment, they can live in a loft, but they're also close to suburban amenities. People want to live close to amenities, especially the Gen Z folks want to live by things, restaurants, cafes, coffee shops, even just stores and the convenience. And so people want to see that. And I think that's what we're seeing a demand for.
Let's take our focus back into the city a bit, because there has been a lot of feedback that we've gotten since we covered the redesign of Capitol Park that's been implemented. Now, some folks really like it. Some folks have some questions and feel like it's missing some things that were in the original design. Devon, what say you?
Yeah, I'm one of those folks. One folks is me, or some folks is me, because I finally had a chance to walk through it earlier this week, and I didn't have a problem with Capitol Park in the first place necessarily, but I was just wholly underwhelmed by what had been done because I wasn't seeing what the big change was. So yes, let me acknowledge they clearly took out a ton of the concrete space, the cement and stuff and the walkways, and they replaced it with some kind of a composite material. I'm not really sure what it's kind of like, faux kind of stone gravel. They replaced all the concrete with that. That's nice, looks nicer, feels nicer to walk on. I totally get it. But the overall kind of flow of the park seemingly has not changed. The pathways are mostly the same. The furniture is definitely the same, like where the tables and chairs and stuff are set up. That's kind of the same. So I guess the dog park might have been a little bit bigger. I don't take my dog there, so I don't know. Maybe they expanded the dog park. There's a few more plants, but it just was kind of uninspiring for what seemed like a massive redo. I recall there was some kind of a water feature that might have gone in. Maybe they nixed it. There certainly wasn't a water feature when I was there, but there were a couple parts that were still getting worked on. But overall, I was just kind of unimpressed and said, okay, you made some light updates to basically what was the existing Capitol Park.
So one of the things that I think that would help tie it together, and we were talking about on our member-only Discord, you can join and get access at patreon.com/dailydetroit, is the custom design that was supposed to be part of it. When I saw the pictures and kind of seen it myself, you're right. It's kind of that original furniture, kind of stock furniture. In the design, there's supposed to be like these triangular things and a lot of wood and stone and concrete, like things that were supposed to blend into the space better. And I think that it's missing that. And then there was also, I think, supposed to be a kiosk that had a bathroom. And though that's missing too.
Public bathroom, that would be clutch.
Well, because they're doing this partnership in parts of downtown with that private company that like doesn't connect to infrastructure or whatever. And that's all cool and
Yeah.
all. But if you look at the original design, like it had like a really cool circular feel to it. There's just something about bathrooms that aren't, I know maybe I'm asking for too much, right? Because we've gone from no bathrooms and a lot of places that have shuttered to like these trailer bathrooms or like portable bathrooms that kind of look like square advertising boxes. But like, I maybe I'm spoiled and thinking we should knock it up a level to like an actual infrastructure.
Yeah, no, I'm an advocate for public bathrooms, and I know it's a difficult subject because they oftentimes get abused by people for various reasons. But I think you have to have that, especially when you're going to have such a nice gathering place like Capitol Park. And I can tell you, as someone who frequents that often, there are no public restrooms in the vicinity, and the places that do have restrooms are very guarded about it. And that's no knock on them, but like, it's the type of place where if you go into one of those restaurants or businesses in Capitol Park, it's one of those like either you're a customer, you got to get a key. It's a whole thing, which I can't begrudge them necessarily, but that just creates a bathroom desert for someone who's maybe enjoying Capitol Park and needs to go to the bathroom. So I will upvote that, Jerry. You're right there. We need a public restroom in there.
And let's end with another update to something that we talked about. You and I have talked about the old state buildings, the Detroit Executive Plaza right there, just off the lodge by the Greyhound station, right in Cork. I think it's really in Corktown.
I call it Corktown. I would call it Corktown. It's on the other side of the lodge. So it's on the Corktown side.
Yeah, and it's within walking distance of like Mudgee's and Batch Brewing and stuff like that. So we've been having our eye on it because it's been sitting vacant for a long time, kind of falling into some sort of disrepair. Report from Cranes again, shout out, I guess 2-in-1 episode this week. Black Acre Management has bought it for $5 million, according to a news release, which is pretty cheap for that much land.
It was going for twice that before, like not too long ago.
Yeah, so there are 3 towers, 11, 13, and 21 stories. What they're talking about in this report, and I will link to it, is a possibility of 335 apartments, 115 hotel rooms, and 35,000 square feet of commercial space. And then there is 8 acres of surface parking that could be developed on. This could really be a huge catalyst for taking Corktown over the top in a new way, because Corktown's housing stock's kind of locked in. There's been some new stuff that's popped up here and there, but this would add a whole bunch of density that would, just add so much, because you tie in, you're on the west side of downtown, so you could go to things like AM Buzz or all that stuff we've talked about in that kind of deader area of west downtown, or you could tie into Corktown right there. James Olive, like, it is a great position. It seems ridiculous. I think it's more ridiculous that this hasn't been redeveloped than District Detroit, because there's just so many amenities right nearby.
Yeah, you're scratching me where I itched here. And also, you left out, you could head down to the riverfront really easily, down to the West Riverfront. It's right there
the new park.
In your midst.
We have an opening date for that, by the way, in October.
Exactly. So that's happening. So this is great. I really hope it comes. I don't want to get myself too excited because you know how this happens. But this is, I drive past this development. I walk past this development. I was at Mudgee's earlier this week, and I was right there. It's so cool. And it's like you said, there's so much opportunity. We talked about the new DCFC stadium on one kind of end of Corktown. This is the east end of Corktown. And so kind of the two bookends of Corktown are seeing some really exciting life. And I think what they laid out kind of has to be right. There's too much space not to do the hotel and apartments. You can't, too much space for all apartments, too much space for all hotel. You got to do kind of a hotel and apartments thing. And then, like you said, you have no parking issues. You have these whole tons of surface lot, which of course we would like to see turned into some kind of development that goes up, because you don't want to see it all be parking lots, but at least parking would not be an issue with this development for some time to come. And again, you create density there. It's a nice walkable area. You're right kind of on the edge of Corktown. You're right on the lodge. I don't know, Jared, a 22-year-old Devon, 25-year-old Devon would be thinking I could live at this place sometime soon. Now, it's not the most attractive building. There's kind of like this, the black steel and glass, and then the other building is more like a brutalist design. So I think hopefully part of this development is more than just new windows. They do some aesthetics to it, because it does kind of look a little drab, but all in all, very much excited for this. And I hope that we can continue to see some good news and updates on this project. Before
I let you go, I have to ask you one important question.
Okay, Jared, what do you got?
What is your sandwich at Mudgee's?
Oh, the Madill. I'm just saying it right. The Madill, Madill, Madill.
Okay.
It's like turkey, pesto, avocado, garlic aioli. It's really good. I love a good turkey sandwich, frankly. I know maybe I'm a plain Jane, but I love a good turkey sandwich. But they have the Maurice, Jer. So I got the Maurice when I was there the last time.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I'm a Barrett guy.
Okay, what's that?
That is their corned beef, Thousand Island dressing, Swiss cheese, creamy coleslaw, onion roll.
Got it. Well, that's good. I like that one. I've had that before. It's really good. I mean, I've explored the Munchies menu very much in my day. So usually I'm either the Maurice, the Mad Ill, and they also their dill pickle hummus is just fantastic and one of a kind. You can't find it anywhere else.
Dill pickle hummus. All right.
Yeah,
I'm not usually into
really good,
specialty hummuses, but is it hummuses?
Oh, this one's good. Listen, man, your friend Devon here has had more than enough hummus in his day, so I know my way around a good hummus. This is really good.
That's nice. That's awesome. Devon O'Reilly, so good to talk to you.
Great to talk to you, Jer. And can't wait to see the crowd at Old Miami. Sounds like you're gonna have a little fun birthday bash out there this weekend. Should be good weather for it.
Absolutely. I'll put links to Facebook and Eventbrite if you want to RSVP. We've got food coming out. We've got a DJ. We're going to be doing a bit of a live show. So there's going to be a lot of fun to be had. And if you've got feedback on anything that we're doing, dailydetroit@gmail.com or leave a voicemail, 313-789-3211. And of course, local media requires local support. So join us at patreon.com/dailydetroit. Devon O'Reilly, I appreciate you. Have a good weekend.
I appreciate you, Jer. Take care as well.
With that, I'm Jer Stays. Thank you so much for listening. Remember that you are somebody, and we'll talk on Monday.